music fans. I'm Mark.
And I'm Becky.
And welcome to the Pirate Core Music Podcast. This is a premiere episode of the podcast, so I've been promoting it a little bit here and there on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, Panels to Pixels Podcast, and Becky has said this and mentioned it too on What's on Tonight podcast. So this is something that has been in the process for technically years. So, but I wanted to do a podcast about music that we could engage and talk about the technical stuff, but also embrace the artist and album, or artist and album at the same time, whether it be specifics. So each episode's going to be a little different. Might be just the artist and their whole catalog of music, or it could be like what we're doing today. But down to brass tacks, due to copyright laws for music and YouTube, as well as podcasting hosts or places that host podcasts, we will be providing the links within the show notes as well as within our Facebook page and Instagram post for you to follow along. So if you're a fan, or if you're not a fan and you're really interested and you heard of the artist but you want to learn more about them, we will provide those links in the podcast notes, Facebook, and Instagram. So you could check those out and then just click on them. YouTube videos just the same. There's certain things that will be omitted from certain podcasts that we have, like you heard at the very beginning. And I'm pretty sure all you fans that are out there know that song. So for those who don't and haven't heard this and you're listening to this on YouTube, this episode will be a general discussion of Alanis Morissette and her album Jagged Little Pill, which came out in 1995 on June 13th of that year. So we're going to move on into the artist, or artist and album at this point. And the producer of this particular album was Glenn Ballard.
God bless him for taking this on.
Yes. And Becky?
Well, Alanis was born in 1974. She grew up in Canada, was a Catholic, and I believe her family spent a few years in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
She knew from an early age that she wanted to be a singer. Unbelievable that she wrote her first song at 10 years old and released her first album at 16. And from there went on to write one of the most incredible albums ever made, known as Jagged Little Pill. And she went through a lot during those younger years. I mean, she was a young, impressionable woman, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like she had anyone in her corner to really protect her the way she should have. So she did suffer from sexual harassment and abuse from people who should have known better.
Yeah.
Some emotional abuse from her producers led to an eating disorder that she is still in active recovery with today. And what I love most about this amazing, incredible woman is she's 2 years older than I am. So when at her age, I was experiencing things, I would have crumbled into a ball and disappeared. But she took all of those feelings and those emotions and those life experiences, both good and bad, and channeled them into her music. And with incredible lyrics and the most unique voice, she paved the way for so many women who follow, and gave my generation an anthem album that I know we will never, ever forget. A few fun facts about her. Like I said, she lived in Germany for a few years. I did not know this until Mark turned me on to her documentary. But she has two brothers. One is a twin. She won a youth talent show in 1986 and was on Star Search in 1990. And if you can believe it or not, Jagged Little Pill was rejected by every label until Guy with Maverick Records came along and took on the project.
Yeah, and got them signed.
Also,
yeah, and
she got held up at gunpoint when she went to meet Madonna.
Oh yes, yeah, and
That's
Madonna wanted it,
and Madonna's like, I wish I had.
Exactly. And that was Madonna's record label, everybody, Maverick Records, and she owned that record label. It started it with her manager and agent at the time, who was Freddie DeMunn, who I got to meet, and
Oh, that's cool.
what I do with premium home theater installations, I got to be in Freddie's house in Connecticut and got to meet him and talk to him a little bit. He's a very nice gentleman. He's since left Maverick Records, obviously, and has retired. But he's always apparently that day he had a lot of interviews. But also with Alanis, speaking of Alanis too, she started out not just, she had 2 albums previous to this.
Mm-hmm.
They were done by, it was like a Canadian company, and she was more of that whole pop culture kind of
Your Debbie
music.
Gibson's, Tiffany's, that kind
That
of
mall
genre.
type of music that they had at the time, which they kind of joke about if you ever watched How I Met Your Mother with Robin Sparkles, because she was from Canada. And then they did a whole thing. So if you guys are not a fan of that show, you can look it up on YouTube. It's hilarious to see what Kobe Smulders did and regarding that. And it kind of mimics the way they instituted it. But she was also in a kids TV show of You Can't Do That on Television, which was Canadian. I loved that. So she was on that for a while. And through that, she wound up doing those 2 albums, not happy with the industry up there and what it was, and took a risk and flew to California with all these songs that she came and culminated. And then when she sent like a small demo to Glenn Ballard, he met with her, and that's when they started working on this thing. And it was like song by song by song. It's a credit to Glenn himself as a musician, engineer, producer, and constructing those songs within his own home studio. So I thought it was great to give you a little keen insight. And this is all for the audio files out there and audio techs like me. I worked in recording studios on and off for the past 30 years. I'm 52, so that could tell you how long I've been working with this. I love the idea of bringing in and talking about this stuff. So the album was recorded at Glenn's house and home studio in the San Fernando Valley with Alanis over the course of like literally weeks, but they did a song per day. The album was recorded with a variety of equipment in Ballard's home and his personal home studio. So he used drum machines. I terrible at drum machines. So he used a Yamaha RX-5 and a drum machine with a bass guitar sample that allowed the drummer to program bass lines and percussion. I'm terrible at this. I still can't get this right to this day, everybody. So it's funny.
I don't even know what it is, but it sounds fascinating.
It's kind of like tappy, 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 kind of like what you could do today nowadays. The microphones he used were an AKG C12, a microphone used to track, Alanis's vocals. I have something that's similar, and I actually have 2 of them. I use them for overheads for cymbals and crash and everything when I do live or even studio recordings. He used a Demeter VTMP-2B microphone preamp, a preamp used to process Morissette's vocals. So that's before it gets to the console, everybody. It kind of dumbs it down so everything is in line, just to dummy it down for people who don't know how that works. The other audio devices out there were a LA2A, an audio device used to process Alanis's vocals, a DBX 263 de-esser. And if you don't understand that, I'm making a lot of S sounds, so it gets the S noise out. So just give you a little brief idea. An audio device used to de-ess Morissette's vocals, so you don't get that on the end of every verse or chorus. He used the DBX 160X, an audio device used to process the bass. That's pretty much like a compressor. Lexicon 480L, an audio device used for reverb. Standard reverb is always used in all recordings. Yamaha SPX 990, an audio device used to add reverb to Alanis's voice. So they kind of drowned it a little bit, but they also mix it because you have different templates, everybody. And something that I own myself, an Elisa's Quadraverb 2. So this is an audio device used to process Benmont Trench's organ, but it could be used for vocals. It could be used for instruments. It could be used for a variety of different things. Gives you flange, compression, reverb plates. I used it for reverb plates a lot when I worked in Laughing Dog Studios, Mystic Studios, and also in the Hit Factory as well. So just to give you an idea, and not name dropping everybody, I literally worked in those studios. Lastly would be the TL Audio C1 tube compressor. So compressors are always very important in music. It compresses and gives you the full bandwidth of the musical instrument, the vocal, whatever you're recording. So it used for every song on the album. So they could easily do this in mastering, which is tweaking and adding and sweetening the sound. So a little bit out of the way, but Jagged Little Pill is an alternative rock album that features guitars, keyboards, drums, and harmonica. And yes, everybody, Alanis actually played the harmonica herself.
So
and
cool.
She's really good at it. Not as good as my favorite musician in the world, Huey Lewis in the News. And that would be Huey, who actually knows how to play the mouth harp very well, everybody. Anyhow, the recorders used with the console at the time was an Alesis ADAT, which is a 16-bit recorder utilizing SVHS tapes to record. So it looks like a regular VHS, but it's a super VHS, everybody. But literally, it was the first digital style tape that was out there with analog style. So it's a MOSFET. It's analog to digital audio. So I know how to use these because at Laughing Dog, that's what Bill had in there. And I had to format 3 tapes because it's 24 tracks. So you get how many, everybody? 8 tracks per tape. So it breaks it down. At that time, I was working with an AMEC Neve, which was a baby Neve, but I'm not sure exactly what Glenn was using at the time, but it was probably something to transition and had analog to digital converters as well. And the ADATs have that built in it itself. So enough of the technical talk. We're going to go into some interesting things that happen on this album too, because you didn't have your traditional, as we know, Glenn did guitars, keyboards, and programmed the drum machines, and Alanis did the vocals. But the song was sent out again to be revised a little bit or changed. And the lead single, You Oughta Know, has guitar by Dave Navarro and bass by Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Dave Navarro at the time was with the Red Hot Chili Peppers and formerly of Jane's Addiction. And obviously he's gone back and forth. But the song was written with a different instrumentation. The pair were then asked to rewrite the music, something Navarro described as being a lot like a remix. The structure of the song was in place, but there were no guide tracks. So he says we just had the vocal to work from. And it was a good time, and we basically jammed until we found something we were both happy with. Alanis was happy too. So that is a direct quote from Dave. And just to have a vocal guide only is amazing. And by the way, everybody, when they do vocal guides and that, there is something that's called a SMPTE time code, which is a time code to give you the tempo and everything of where to play. So they could sequence it with a drum machine or have a click track for the drummer to play with. So whether or not that's in there, I didn't dive too deep, but they had a good time with it. And it was amazing to get that, because that's the one track that we hear, because that is the one that we all know of. The original is in the hands of Alanis and Glenn Ballard.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And when she got her band together, very interesting story.
Yeah.
But Taylor Hawkins, her drummer, went on to join the Foo Fighters, so he did pretty well.
Yep. After the
Nick
first
Lashley,
tour.
The first tour, sorry.
Yeah.
Nick Lashley is one of the guitarists. Jesse Tobias, also a guitarist, played with the Chili Peppers for a little while. Chris, this is the funny one. Chris Chaney, the bassist, was actually an accident. She meant to call a different person, but called him. And so he ended up going on tour with them, and he now plays with Jane's Addiction. So I think that mistake phone call worked out well for everybody.
Yeah, it did. And oddly enough, you laugh, everybody. Just a little bit more of tech talk, not about his rig or anything. This is about Chris himself. He was more of a jazz player. He was a jazz bass player that did session work. And he got called out of the blue, and she got the wrong phone number and wrong name. So he wound up coming in, and he didn't know anything about rock. And what had landed him one of the best gigs in the world. And if you do watch, and I'll be the first to state it right here, and we'll talk about this several times probably during the podcast, is there's a documentary that came out in 2021 called Jagged, which talks about the whole thing of how Jagged Little Pill came out and the struggles for her to get this out there, what she went through in her life, all this information. But Chris has since tried out for other bands, and he predominantly plays in rock and metal right now. To go from a jazz player to that different kind of whole music genre completely was a training ground for him. He actually tried out after Jason Newsted stepped down as bass player for Metallica. And you could see that some kind of monster documentary by Metallica, everybody. He's in there. You could actually see the names listed, and he was one of them. So he's the guy with the short hair. He's playing like a jazz style bass and trying out for Metallica. So he's moved on, and it's great to see musicians opening up their world to them, like not just playing one style of music.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move forward. And we have certain topics, everybody. And this is something that I threw together, and Becky kind of got, this is all tech stuff. No, it's not all tech stuff. it's I like to get the tech stuff out there because that's who I am. I've been playing bass guitar since I was 16. Don't necessarily ever call myself a musician. You know what I call myself? A professional noisemaker. And that's literally what band practice was. Let's make some noise. And that's literally how it was. Mind you, yes, a lot of my bands that I was in were heavy metal bands, but I did rock. I did a little bit of pop, and I did punk. So I kind of lean in that genre myself, but I've dabbled with blues and stuff like that. Anyhow, we get earwigs. So that's the topic right now, earwigs. And that's the song that sticks in your ears or in your mind. Like, let's say you're at work and you got this song in your head, and you could hear it in your head, and you're like, oh my God, it's stuck there all day. And you just can't get it out until you actually play it on your radio, your phone, what have you, whatever device you're playing music. And with me, there were only 2 songs on here that actually do that to me all the time. It's not You Oughta Know. To me, it's ironic.
Mm-hmm. Don't you think?
Yeah, don't you think? And it's always in there, but there was always these things that they talk about. And it's not a subject that I mentioned of like misunderstanding of lyric content, but I'm sure later on, whoever guests or whoever hosts, because I'm not going to be the host all the time, everybody, but hopefully they'll put it in there going, no, they got it all wrong. The context of the song is this. But yeah, it was always ironic, and You Live and You Learn, or You Learn is the song title. So those always get stuck in my head. I don't know about you guys, but you tell me.
Well, for me, ironic is definitely one. And it's not so much that when I think of the album, it's because most of the lyrics in that song can be brought into everyday conversation. And once you hear it, I can't get it out of my head. And then the other one for me randomly is Head Over Feet.
Oh.
It's been in my head the entire time you've been talking. It just keeps going through.
See, I told you, earwigs. You're gonna be like, after the podcast, I have to go listen to the damn song again.
Now, mind you, to the whole album.
I have everybody. If you're out there and you listen, or you have YouTube, and I know we all do, and we all watch YouTube, they have an Alanis channel that you could subscribe to and has her videos. So you could constantly have that in the background if you want. Obviously, you have ads in between. But if you pay for YouTube Red or whatever it is, you don't get those. But we can move on to the next one, which is so funny too, because I love it. Within music, you get all these cool things that are out there. Like I said, earwigs, but you get lyrics that people get wrong within a song or misread lyrics, because you could see people singing their heart's desire in the car with their radio, and they're getting the lyrics all wrong. And I'm sure you've corrected your friend at one point. Everyone's no, it's this. Hold on. Here's the liner notes. Oh, what are liner notes? So, okay, for all those that grew up or were born in the year 2000, CDs, cassettes, even, vinyl had liner notes where you actually had the lyrics. And you could be like, oh, that's what it actually says. That's what they're saying. Because sometimes it's very hard to understand a vocalist at times of how they are enunciating. And
one of my favorite commercials, if you've ever seen it, is the Rocket Man Elton John song.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all these people singing it, and it's all the different versions of what they think he says.
Exactly.
And it is hilarious.
It's like Phoebe going, hold me closer, Tony Danza.
Yeah. Which I don't care how I know the correct words, but you can guarantee that is how I sing that song from now on.
Yep. But it's so hilarious to have that. But you have a friend, or you have done it yourself, and you're like, I don't care. There was what was it? 28 Dresses. They had one where they had a song that they were talking about. So it's a common thing, everybody. You could get your friends together and discuss this and talk about it at will. When you water cooler talk or whatever you do at work, it's always funny to talk about, because it's like, you got that lyric wrong. No, let's go back to it. Or everything's online now. You can actually look it up and prove somebody wrong.
Yeah.
But some people just want to sing it the way they want to sing it. It's like, it's like, excuse me while I kiss this guy or something like that. But with me, I looked it up, and there's one that's in here, and it's in You Oughta Know. And the one thing that people always apparently said at one point, it's not fair to deny me of the cross-eyed bear that you gave to me. Now, was that cross-eyed bear given to that person at a carnival or something that they won, and the stuffed bear had cross eyes or something? And then the real lyric is, it's not fair to deny me of the cross-eye bear that you gave to me. So just to clear that up, everybody. But that's the one that I found.
I didn't find any online, so I just went to the one lyric in this album that I get wrong every time, no matter how many times I've heard this song, and that's in Mary Jane. I always sing it as, if that's the way you insist on hurting, but what she really says, if that's the way you insist on heading. And I ought to be honest, I like my lyric better.
No, yeah. Keep singing it, lady. Keep singing it the way you like. There you go. Who cares? And if somebody tries to correct you, go, this is my version.
Right. This is a remix, okay?
This is my version. Leave me alone. All right. So, yeah, those are the cool things I like to talk about. And then I'm hoping other hosts that come on here to talk about do and adopt that. It's hilarious to talk about these things. But anyhow, we're going to move where the album ranks and what awards it got. So when it came out and its present status as of now, Jagged Little Pill was garnered countless awards over the years, technically. But when it came out, it won these. So Canada has their own awards ceremony. So obviously, Miss Morissette is from Canada. So the Junos are a big thing in Canada. So the Juno Award for Album of the Year, she won in 1996. She got the Juno Award for Album of the Year in 1996. And then with the their award ceremonies, the Grammy Award for Album of the Year in 1996, the Grammy Award for Best Rock Album in 1996, And then, of course, the Billboard Music Award for Top Billboard 200 in 1996. And then there's the Echo Award for Best International Newcomer in 1996. And I believe that's in Europe. And then there's the American Music Award for Favorite Pop Album.
She
That was
deserved every single one of them and more.
Yeah. And so far, the album in the United Kingdom went 10 times platinum. Now, this is the premier award in record standards that you could get. This is the amount of records that are sold overall across the United States, across the world. So they got 10 times in the United Kingdom. And she had to sell, and she sold 3 million there, which is amazing. And then the United States, she went 17 times platinum. Now, think of a house filled with, wow, how many she got? 27 platinum records that she could plaster all over the house. So she went 17 times platinum and then sold 17 million units in the United States. And has sold currently worldwide 33 million records.
I am happy to say I am an owner of Jagged Little Pill, the cassette tape, Jagged Little Pill, the CD, times 2. I don't know how I ended up with 2, but I had to.
You thought you lost, so you bought it again.
Right.
But do you have it on iTunes, like for Apple or anything like that as well?
I have it on Spotify.
Okay.
As well. She's all over a lot of playlists. And then, of course, just the album itself is incredible.
Okay. You added a little bit more. How many hits did this album have, and what did it chart when it came out?
I thought this one was interesting when I was doing some research on it. So what I could find, only 3 songs reached #1 on the Billboard, but it's the Billboard alternative charts in 1995. And that was You Oughta Know, the album's lead single. Hand in My Pocket did also top the modern rock chart. And the best-selling track is Ironic. However, that doesn't mean these songs did not climb the charts. A lot of these songs and other songs from the album did climb high on the charts, but none at #1, which I thought was very strange. The album itself was, but not the individual songs.
Yeah. There were I think total of 4 singles that were out.
6.
Okay. I like it when people correct me.
Well, I think I just saw 6 singles.
All right. But even still, but they always were in rotation on the radio during that time when this album, and it was a huge thing. When this album came out, you had other pioneers that are female vocalists that were big at the time. You got Sheryl Crow, you got Tori Amos, you had Alanis, and at the time, during that time in the mid 90s, Lilith Fair was a huge thing too. But Alanis was on her own journey and own tour at that time, which was amazing. But this was all meant for female empowerment and speaking their voices. What was that song that came out that year? Was it the same year? It probably was around within that time. Bitch, and you're muted.
Oh, sorry. I was Googling to make sure it was 6 singles. I didn't want to correct you if I wasn't right. Yeah, Meredith Brooks, Bitch, which is, I'm going to get into my theme song throughout the years. But that as I've gotten older, it used to be Hand in My Pocket, and then I morphed into Bitch. So just to let you know.
You ought to know, everybody. You ought to know.
And now you do.
Anyhow, enough of all this stuff previously. This is where the meat and potatoes of the actual podcast is. This is where we get to have fun, and this is what Becky signed up for. It's our favorite thoughts about particular songs, or a particular song on the album that always stands out, and when it came out, when you first heard it, or how do you feel about it today, and did you love this album as a whole? Do you have issues with certain songs? Like, honestly, me as I've been listening to music since I was a wee lad. Just not to be Irish or anything, but there is Irish in me somewhere. Anyhow, I grew up around music. So I was always there, but it's like I'd hear Vanilla Fudge, and the whole first side of the album, I'd be like, oh, I'll only like that. Put it over to the second one because the whole first side of the album, Vanilla Fudge, was literally a half hour long. It's one song. So you turn it over and you listen to the other songs. Like, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not listening to that. I'll just listen to the first side. So everybody has their points of like whether they love the whole album as a whole or they only like certain parts. So this is where we get into deep conversations about the songs we love. And I'll flat out state it, and I'm sure Becky will be the same in saying it. I loved every song that's on this album.
I
Every
love there are
song,
two.
yeah, every
I'm
song was
sorry.
a hit.
Yeah, there are two albums in the world that I listen to that I can listen to from start to finish without wanting to skip a single song.
Yeah.
This is one, and the other is the band that I told you that I want to try to get on the podcast is Carbon Leaf, and that's Indian Summer.
Okay.
But yeah, there is this whole album. This came out when I was 19 years old, and it's the first time I remember hearing a female artist telling it like it was. And, I said it earlier that I feel like it became an anthem for especially women, but also men in our generation, my generation. It's amazing from start to finish. And
Mm.
the more as I got older, and even, the other day I was re-listening to the album just to, be prepared for the talk today. And I'm dancing around. I'm like, like I'm putting on my own concert in the house, just thoroughly enjoying
Yeah.
the just uniqueness of her voice, the music, the lyrics. She captures the pain, she captures the joy, she captures the sadness and the realities of life in such a beautiful and unique way. And no one to date has ever delivered music the way that she has. And I can turn it, like I said,
Yeah.
turn it on today and still feel like a 19-year-old girl figuring out how this album helping me figure out feelings are okay. And just if you love music, I always told people I love music. I love music that makes me feel. And this album, every song on this album made me feel. And that to me it's good music.
Yeah. And I always said it, whether it be the musical instrument or even the lyric, because a lot of people attach music as being lyrical. It's like, oh, the lyrics touched me. But music itself, the actual music. So as a musician, I'm not saying I'm a musician, really. I still say I'm a noisemaker. But my appreciation of music and the way it is, music itself, it could just be one key note. Like in Pink Floyd's Metal, where it's just that piano key. Ding. The high C. Ding. It eerily is there with the ambiance that's coming there from the keyboards and then the piano key striking. It gives that eerie feeling of like feeling something within you. Lyrics are pretty much open as to someone's soul, in my opinion, depending on what you're writing about. And it's an expression of feeling. And a lot of people, I look at the album, which she had put out was more of opening up about herself and her viewpoints, but a lot of people could compare themselves with that and state they feel the same way. And it doesn't have to be a sexual thing or within sexes. It can be a man, it can be a woman. In this case, it's a woman that's voicing this, but it's also voicing a woman's issues within life of how she was treated. And a lot of people could express that just the same as being the opposite sex. It could be also in the same of in an LGBTQ format
Mm-hmm.
as well. They could feel because it's relationships at one point of how she's feeling, or her relationship with the world and how she feels about it and herself as a woman, a young woman at that time. And then, and honestly, it's like this was a far cry from what she was doing in the two pop albums that she did in Canada,
Yeah, and she
because
caught a lot of heat for that. That
yeah,
that she wasn't what. But what's funny is that Jagged Little Pill is who she was. Those were
they were
who they wanted her to
manufactured.
be. And
It,
that's
yeah,
when there's a line from the documentary, if I could quote it real quick, when she met Glenn and he asked her what she wanted to do, and she was like, I don't know exactly. He said, she did know exactly what she wanted, but she knew what she didn't want. And that was to be that conformist pop girl
yeah,
that they had made her be. And then her comment about Glenn is that he asked her, when he asked her, what do you want? She's like, nobody's ever asked me that before. It's the first time she felt validated, and
yeah.
especially by a man. And I think it was, again, thank you, Glenn, for this. But I have two favorite songs on the album.
Hmm.
The first one is Ironic. And not ironic, I'm sorry, Hand in My Pocket. And here's why Hand in My Pocket. I mentioned it's my theme song, or was my theme song, but now that I feel old, like I said, I moved on to Meredith's Bitch. Hand in My Pocket. When I was young, I suffered from anxiety, depression, and then one day I'd feel strong, the next day I would feel weak. One day I would feel pretty, and the next day I would not. And it just, I was all over the place. And I think most people, especially women, we don't really figure it out till our 30s, unless you're super lucky. But I struggled with identity, the whole thing, and I just didn't know where to fit in. And this song was actually released on my birthday in 1995. So hearing that song on my birthday, and it was just, it's this song that says, I'm young, I'm tired, but I'm working, I'm sick, but I'm pretty, I'm sad, but I'm laughing, I'm brave, but I'm chicken shit, just I was like, I felt like, oh my God, somebody gets me. This song gets me. And I still have, when I hear it on the radio, or not radio, I don't listen to the radio anymore, but on Spotify or wherever, it just makes me smile, and I feel young again. I feel like that young girl again.
Yeah.
And then my second favorite song would be Mary Jane. And I know that's not one of the most popular ones on the album. That doesn't mean I don't love all of the other ones. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Mary Jane, again, I was a very sad, depressed teenager and young woman in her 20s, up until I really spent time in therapy and learned how to manage that, which I still struggle with it. But and if you just listen to the lyrics of Mary Jane, it's a sad person, and I could just relate to it. And I can remember times putting that song on and just curling up in the corner and just having a good cry, feeling like she was talking to me. And then I'd like to give honorable mention to Not the Doctor, but that one I didn't really understand until later on in life. As I got older, some of these started to make a lot more sense when I got older, and that one has become a new favorite, I guess you could say.
Mm, yeah.
I love this album.
Yeah, the album's very good. This, just like you, there's always one uh song that's always played that is in the top. Like, as you know, you said there were six total. You Ought to Know is one that was out there. Hand in My Pocket was another release that was a single. Head Over Feet, and then You Learn Oh no, Ironic was the one that was mostly known that everybody knew. I always liked You Learn. I thought it was a very decent one, and then after that would be Head Over Feet because it's showing that somebody feels blessed to be loved
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't really feel that they loved themselves
Yeah.
and they don't see themselves that way. I could relate to that because I felt like that for years. Everybody used to say, "Oh, you're a pretty guy or a handsome guy" when I was a kid, when I had hair. When I had hair, everybody.
He looks great without hair.
Nah, I'm like I look like Mr. Clean. um,
You say that like it's a bad thing. Bald
but
is in.
I could always relate to that song, and yeah, I'm a guy, but a woman stating that and singing it, I got it. And one also unknown one would be Forgiven.
I agree with you on that one, but that one, again, I didn't. I always liked the song, but I didn't really get it until later on in life because I actually converted to Catholicism in my late 30s.
Yeah,
And that's going back and hearing that song, I was like, oh,
it's a
okay.
duality of faith because it's somebody
Yes.
reflecting on what they were brought up to, but you're always going back to.
Yeah.
And
And
I grew up Catholic. I was baptized. I got my communion. I did all the things that you're supposed to do through your journey as a Catholic. I also went to an old boys Catholic high school. So, for those of that you're listening, and if you're Catholic and you're or very religious, the worst thing that you could do is subject your child to something like that because I learned way too much about my own religion at that time, and it made me question my faith. And I
yeah.
still do, but the thing is, I still feel this to this day. It's what we cling to, what we go back to. When you're feeling really bad, like let's say you're in a hospital, you're praying. When was the last time you gone to church, pal? That's something like that because you go back to it because it's a safe haven. It's what you know, it's what you learned. And I could relate to that. That was the whole thing about that. That always got me. That song, and a lot of people don't realize or understand what it's about.
I didn't for a long time.
Yeah, and my girlfriend at the time, who loved this album, she didn't really understand the song itself herself because she was Jewish. And when I had to explain it to her, she realized it. And then she goes, "Oh, it's the same way in every religion." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yes.
It's like, "Yeah." Yes, that's how it is. We all have these things that bind us. So you could be, you'd be Baptist, Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, anything. Hey, you could be Scientologist. There's got to be something that you're going to relate to within the song itself and the lyric. But and it's something that you feel like you have to go back to, and it's something that's like, I hate saying it, it's bred into you because that's how you were brought up. But you could tell, and in the way she explains it is really, really good. So that's one, and of course, there's the typical "You Oughta Know." We all love that. All I Really Want is always a great song to start off, and that was a
Oh, I
great way to
love
start
that
off the
opening
song.
guitar. Now you correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm saying this wrong.
Go
It's
ahead.
not a riff, but that opening guitar
It's an opening
strum or
guitar. It's
whatever.
an open chord. That's all. It's
It's that
wow.
I hear that, and I love that they chose to put that at the top of the album because it just gets you, it
Yeah.
gets you ready.
It's got a little bit of a flange and chorus to it, and then of course, the opening guitar lead that opens to it, the melody that's on there, dun, 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 that's all with a wah pedal, everybody. And I could tell you flat out that is a Fender Strat with the neck pickup. Sorry, that's my ears. Boom, 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 boom. But yeah, just to go through that, and that's where my ears go. I'm sorry, I'm music in my head, and I just go through all that. Um, Ironic, I always had a love for. Not the
That
Doctor.
video.
Yeah, the video is always legendary, and that's one thing we didn't really have anything in here for the podcast because I don't want to make it 3 hours long. Everybody, I'm not here to bore you to death, but we do love this album. Her videos went so viral; they became very popular, and they did win awards.
Hmm.
So
Back
I
when
yeah
videos were
played
MTV
on
was
MTV.
alive and videos were important.
Wait, is MTV still a thing?
Yeah.
I only worked there a few times, but okay.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, TRL live, not fun to do live. What was that Carson Daly? What was
Yep.
yeah. I had to deal with him, but
You
I
know,
was running lines. I was running wire. Don't
oh,
trip,
what's his name? Jeffrey Dean Morgan's wife. I'm blanking on her
Hillary Burton.
name. Yes, she got her start as the, what did they call them? The VJs.
Was she a VJ?
Yeah.
Huh?
And she has some stories. If you watch the dark parts of the 90s or
Oh
whatever,
yes.
yeah, there's some
Oh
stories.
yeah. Something came up about that too, about her and Ben Affleck and how. Ooh, yeah. We're not going to get into that. Anyhow, that was MTV. They had a lot of videos for Jagged Little Pill, and yeah, they she kind of swept up MTV at that time amongst
Yeah.
with a lot of other women that were out there. Like I said, I mentioned it before: Sheryl Crow, Tori Amos,
Oh,
um,
that's another good one, Tori.
and I forgot her name, but it eludes me. She was a great singer too. She was very well, one was very scandalous, her videos, but I can't remember her name. But anyhow, I don't want to bore you people with me trying to remember music or the artist. But every album is very wonderful. You can listen to it from beginning to end, in my opinion. I have done that because I think I've listened to this because at the time when I was dating my girlfriend at the time, Jamie, she was going to school at SUNY Albany. And I think I played the album at least 2 times on the way up and 2 times on the way back driving because it was a 3 hour journey.
Mm.
So I knew the album very well. And then I went to go see Alanis because I bought tickets for Jamie and myself to see them at the Brendan Byrne Arena in New Jersey because we lived in Staten Island, everybody, at the time. And opening up was Radiohead. So I
Mm.
got to see Radiohead open up, and not many people were into Radiohead, but Creep was a huge thing at that time. And the fact that they were opening up for Alanis was amazing. And
I
apparently,
bet that was incredible.
if you watch the documentary, they talk about that and how they
Yeah.
had them opening up. It's a good watch. Is very eye opening to Alanis. She's on there a lot because they interview her directly.
Yeah, this is her story. She's telling her story.
Yeah. And when you first see her, I was like, who is this person? And then they had to put the name there. I was like, oh my God, she looked very different. And I, did not know she got tattoos and all this other
Mhm.
stuff, but she's not, she's a mother now. So, and you don't see too much of her life now because she's married and has kids.
She does have that new album that she put out for her kids.
Yes. Which one is that?
That is, give me just a second.
She's going to pull it up, everybody. But
Okay. I
But to
got
let
it.
you guys know too, with all the efforts and everything that's going out there for LA with the fires that were out in LA, Alanis did make an appearance at the fire aid for LA, and it's on YouTube, so you guys could watch it. They have the full concert there, but it's also a way for you if you want to feel and you feel the need to donate. Even if you don't live in California, you don't have to. But the thing is fireaidla.org, and you could donate to that for those people who lost homes. And it had a variety of different musical talents. It went on, it goes on for, it was like, I was like, oh my God, Rod Stewart's there. Billie Eilish is there. You had Nirvana make a reunion with several people. Even Dave Grohl's daughter sang for Nirvana. So uh, it's nice to see these things. It kind of reminded me of when 9/11 happened and they had the music in Manhattan, and I got to see, you saw Twisted Sister, Anthrax, and all those bands and other artists come out for that and do a multi thing to get money to help people. And if you feel and are able to give any money to fireaidla.org, it'd be greatly appreciated by
Yeah,
those
please
people.
do.
But you could see Alanis's performance, and she did a song on a not on this album, but a song that I love that I love. It's called "Thank You."
That is an honorable mention.
Yes.
Album supposed former infatuation junkie.
Yeah.
I love Thank You, Baba. So Pure is probably close to favorite, but my absolute favorite is Unsent, where she writes all the letters to because there's always people in our lives, and it might be a, relationship, like romantic relationship. It might be a friendship.
Yeah.
There's always people that have affected our lives in good and bad ways. And there's always often there's something that's left unsaid. And I like how she did it in the form of like a letter to each one of those people. And it just, that one really speaks to me. Her new album doesn't have a title yet. She just is that she's working on it. But one of the songs is in the documentary that she wrote about her kids. That's supposed to be on that album.
Good. Yeah, and definitely show some love to your artists out there, everybody. They're all struggling. The music business has changed. They're not getting paid by record labels. And I know a majority of us out there, and I'm one, I should be shameful for being an ASCAP member and listening to Pandora and Spotify. And yes, our podcast is on Spotify and Pandora. But for the music artists that are out there that make money off of their music, they're not getting paid equally or properly. It used to be with anything for music royalties for radio, you get 8.5 cents per play. They're not making any of that anymore, everybody. They have to. It's like you're fighting tooth and nail just to make maybe 50 cents off of just them using it at one point, or depending on how many rotations it gets. It's really sad, but the majority of these artists out there make their money on meet and greets, meeting their fans, VIP formats, signings of their album, and things of that nature out there. And then obviously the money they make from their merch sales as well as ticket sales from their live events. And I know how hard it is to go see a show because I haven't seen one in years because the cost of actually going to a real concert is expensive. But any event that you could save to go support your artist that you love and give them that respect. And if you meet them, I always say this because I always do this to anybody, whether it be an actor, performer, anybody that provides some sort of service. That could be anything: police officer, fire department, fireman, anybody. Say thank you. Just say thank you, and that would mean the world. Thank you for your art, and just thank them. Anyhow,
yes.
Not to get off my pulpit a little bit about that. We mentioned the documentary. Just check out Jagged. It's out there. It's 2021. I think I saw it. I caught it on Max, on the Max app. So you could check that out. It's really good. And to talk about the album itself, Jagged Little Pill, it had a couple of anniversaries over the years. So the album was re-released twice. So on October 30th, 2015, it was released as a 2-disc deluxe edition and a 4-disc collector's edition commemorating the 10th anniversary on June 26, 2021. And then on June 26, 2020, in a 25th anniversary deluxe edition. And then there's a one that I do like, and it was very hard to come by, and I think I have it somewhere in my music. I have a road case full of CDs. It's a DJ case. Yes, everybody, I have a DJ case. I'm not a DJ, but I have CDs, and it holds 300 discs. And I have it. It's just buried. But it came out on June 13, 2005, and it was the acoustic version, a live acoustic version
Which
of
is
Jagged
beautiful.
Little Pill, which is amazing. The way it was recorded, you could hear the sound quality in it. And if you are remembering back in the 90s, MTV Unplugged, those are the go-tos because it's just music in its raw form, and the artist, there's no effects, no nothing. It's just a microphone, acoustic guitars, and acoustic equipment. So I highly recommend that. But other than that, there's so many things we could talk about that we do love about Alanis. I do, for one, love the fact that, now available finally, because that wonderful or not so wonderful person, Harvey Weinstein, is in prison. So the Weinstein Foundation had to sell the rights, thankfully. Yay! So that Kevin Smith, who I love, I wouldn't call him a friend. I've met the man so many times, and I've interviewed him and hung out with him on occasion at some live events and talked to him personally within that. But he put Alanis in the movie Dogma. And if you don't know that movie, go check it out. Dogma. And that came out in 1999, I believe.
Yep. Classic.
And it's a classic. And she plays, of all things, spoilers, she plays God. And it's a testimony to who she is as a person, an artist, and what she was saying at the time. And that's why Kevin put her in the film as God. And, even if you go to YouTube and watch it, that's fine. But give the man a break. Give Kevin Smith some help too. Go out there, get Dogma. If you could buy it, you could buy it now. Actually, it's going to be re-released on Blu-ray, and he's doing a tour. Cheap plug for Mr. Kevin Smith. Awesome. Anyhow, but that's all I have, Becky. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I just want to say to Alanis Morissette, if you ever hear this, you are unapologetic, you are beautiful, you are brave, you are strong, you are honest, you are raw, and you are real, and you set the tone for and paved the way for a lot of women artists who followed you, but you also genuinely gave a voice and peace to a lot of young women out there who did not necessarily know how to speak their minds or say how they felt, and you gave us the words and helped us through a lot. And to that, I do say thank you.
Yeah. And like I said, always thank your artist. And that's what Becky and it is pretty much a thank you to Alanis.
Yes.
And on top of that, like I said, links will always be provided. For those of you on YouTube did not hear what we introed it, but on the podcast, it will be there. So the intro music will be from Daryl Banner, who's on YouTube, and it's his version. We only did the first intro, verse, and chorus of You Oughta Know, but it's in 8-bit form. So check it out. If you're going to listen to the podcast on a podcast player of choice, do so.
It's so cool.
And to get in touch or follow Alanis in any way, she could be found on Instagram. Her official Instagram is @Alanis. And then her Facebook page would be facebook.com/Alanis Morissette. We will have those links in there, as well as the videos that you could find on YouTube from Yeah, I believe it's officially from Warner Brothers. So we're going to provide those links in the podcast notes, YouTube notes, all that good stuff. She has an official website. We're going to post that there. And what we'll probably do is pretty much at Alanis as well. So hopefully she gets to hear this, and it would be awesome if she did. If anybody who knows her, please call her in and have her listen to it. We'd love
Yeah.
to hear her feedback, if anything. Obviously, I always open this forum to anybody who wants to come, artist wise or what, just to come on and talk, because I love interviews, but it's been a while since I've had one. But anyhow, we're going to get to how to send feedback, but apparently somebody sent in some feedback. Is that correct, Becky?
That is correct. My a dear friend of mine sent me a text message and asked me what I was doing, and I was like, "We're doing the Atlantis podcast." And so she's like, "Oh." Her three thoughts are she feels Jagged Little Pill is easily a top 10 album of all time, and I might say top five. Uh, she did it before Taylor Swift. She may not have been the first, but she was a boss. And she said, Alanis let us know that, hey, it's okay to be angry and as a woman, let anger out through song, and that she was a badass all at the same time. So
Hmm.
I agree.
Awesome.
Thank you, Amy.
So Amy sent that directly to Becky. I did post something on the Pyrocore Entertainment Facebook page. We have yet to really fix the whole Instagram thing. I had my personal one linked. I don't know how that happened, but I'm trying to avoid that so that way it could bring you the Pyrocore Entertainment Instagram out there for you as well. Anyhow, but for you to submit feedback, all you have to do is go to our Facebook group, which would be facebook.com/Pyrocore Entertainment. And obviously, I did post something. I did post the image, obviously a little bit too late, but I'm sure we'll probably bring this up. And like I've said this before in my other podcasts, all you have to do is leave the message or the comment, and we'll talk about it the next time we do a podcast. And that will be next month, everybody. And yes, we will be covering. We already have an artist, and I do have a guest that wants to talk about something. And we will talk about that at the very end. Anyhow, go to our Facebook group and you'll see the image of like Alanis's album art and put it in the comments below that. And I could get that on Messenger. I also will be receiving emails as well. All you have to do is email us at pyrocoreentertainment@gmail.com. Write your thoughts out. We'll read them. If you feel the need that you need to have your voice heard and be passionate about it and be part of the podcast in some way, record yourself and send that as an attachment in that email, and I will be able to do that. But other than that, the best way you could help us and support us is to with your podcast player choice, preferably Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If there's always a rating and review, please give us a rating and review. And word of mouth, tell a friend, let them know, hey, there's these people that are doing podcasts about music and what they love about an artist, an album, and whatnot. They're having fun. Check it out, and you'll enjoy it. Just let them know that we're not playing music on it too, because that usually ticks people off. But for next up, for the next podcast, and I'm trying to do these at least once a month, everybody. So this is going to be dropped in February. We were supposed to do it at the very end of January. That didn't happen, but definitely this will be up in the beginning of February. And by the end of February, I'll be recording the next one, which will be Miss Rima Joe and myself. And we're going to be covering Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. So we'll let you know, and we'll definitely be posting that link soon, or probably midway in the month. I'm just going to prepare a little bit more, get everything 100%. This was the first inaugural podcast to this music podcast here on Pyrocore Entertainment. So along with that, we do other podcasts, as I mentioned. So Becky, where else can listeners hear you?
I can be heard on Panels to Pixels podcast, on Adrenaline Cinema podcast, where we are covering in batches the Mayfair witches. So please give that a listen. And on my own podcast, which is What's On Tonight, found on the Powercore Entertainment website and Facebook page. And then we have our own Facebook page and Instagram page. And we are currently covering the absolutely riveting medical drama, The Pit, found on HBO Max. So if you're watching that show, please check out our podcast. Again, it's called What's On Tonight podcast. We love to have you and would love to hear from you.
Yep. And you, as always, like I have to reiterate this, everybody, you could hear that on the Pyrocore Entertainment podcast. So you'll have the Slay Lounge, and you'll have What's On Tonight, and then you'll have this. So you're going to have to fiddle through episodes to get what you want, but it's fine. That shows you that we're providing you a lot of content all for that one particular podcast. So check that out. Like she had mentioned before, I can be found on Adrenaline Cinema podcast as well. Most recently, we put up Ricky O, the story of Ricky, and that was placed not only just on Adrenaline Cinema podcast, but also on Panels to Pixels podcast, because Adrenaline is all about action. Well, guess what's in Ricky O? A lot of action stuff, a lot of kung fu, but also it was based off a manga comic that is all Asian based, and it's extreme. That's the reason why the movie was a violent one and kung fu based. But Frank Rodriguez and I had covered that. You can check that out on both Panels to Pixels podcast as well as Adrenaline Cinema podcast. And as always, you could hear me here on Pyrocore Music podcast. That is what it should be. Anyhow, if you have any thoughts, like I said, just email them to us, or if you have an idea of a podcast of a musician and album, please send them our way. You know how to get to us. And as always, just go to the Pyrocore Entertainment website. Yes, it's still under construction. Yes, I need to find somebody. I'm going to wind up paying somebody. I know this. But just so that way you could get in touch. You could definitely see Adrenaline Cinema podcast there as well. But I just want to thank everyone out there for listening to the podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Becky.
This was the Pyrocore Music Podcast, and we'll catch you on the flip side of the record. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you for listening.